All right, welcome back, everyone. My name is Dave. This is the Radical Independent. Thanks for watching the channel. I appreciate it. Today, pretty much our number one guest. Let's just be honest about it. Scott Ritter is back with us. He's a former UN weapons inspector and a former naval intelligence officer. I'm actually going to kind of pick his intelligence officer brain today to talk about some things. And of course, he is the author of this book here, Disarmament in the Time of Perestroika, Arms Control and the End of the Soviet Union. You know, Scott, I was thinking we could maybe do or you could do, I have no skill set to even think about doing this, but you could do Disarmament in the Time of Washington, D.C., Arms Control and the End of the American Empire. What do you think about that?
That could be the next book, yeah.
All right, well, thanks again for being here. So, Scott, you're a former naval intelligence officer, and I'm wondering what your opinion is on all these objects that are floating around. Obviously, we had the balloon, which got shot down off the coast of, I believe it was South Carolina, floated across the country, made a very slow trek. I'm sure everybody got a good look at it. And now we've got a total of 4 objects that have been taken out. NORAD apparently adjusted their, this just sounds so amateur. They had to adjust their radar equipment to catch the slower items because they were missing the slower things that are floating around up there. What's your take on all of this? And now we're getting some media folks who are coming around saying, well, you know, this could be China and Russia working together to kind of just distract us from something. Or, of course, there are UFOs. That's the other big thing. Everyone's running with hey, the aliens have finally gotten here and they have found no intelligence, but yet they continue to put these things out there. So I was wondering what your take was on this.
Well, first of all, I was a Marine Corps intelligence officer, not a naval intelligence officer. So I'm a higher form of life. Because Marines, of course, are the best intelligence officers in the world because we do everything. But
I stand corrected.
Let me put it this way. This is just one giant distraction. Just one giant distraction. The Chinese weather balloon, the Chinese, whatever we want to call that, it wasn't a sophisticated intelligence collection platform. You can't have a sophisticated intelligence collection platform operating in a high altitude balloon. What it can be is a very targeted information collection platform about, say, weather patterns, particles that are up that high. You know, this is all the kind of stuff that China's already told us about. I mean, China has been running high altitude, weather, experiments, to send, first they send tethered balloons up to find out what's being, for instance, they're very concerned about what's happening in the Tibetan plateau because you have the melting of glaciers, and this could cause a problem long-term for China. So they want to understand what's happening above that. So they sent tethered balloons up there with experiments that looked suspiciously like the experiment that was underneath this floating balloon. Now, so the Chinese aren't stupid. They know that you can collect information in one place, but when you're dealing with weather, you're dealing with patterns. They rotate around the Earth. So if you want to know about what's happening in Tibet, you need to know about what's happening around the world, where the changes are made to particle structure that has an impact on China. So you put these balloons up with these experiments and they collect the data. This, ladies and gentlemen, is what was happening. Nothing more, nothing less. If the United States government disagrees with me, I dare you to put your evidence out on the table. Make public the disclosure about what you found when you shot down this balloon. Bring out the technology, lay it out, and let experts look at it. Because frankly speaking, I don't trust the U.S. government ever again. They don't get a free pass. Mr. Kirby doesn't get up there and brief me and expect me to believe a word he's saying. This is a distraction. This is, and look at the embarrassment. I mean, suddenly we're shooting down balloons over Canada and the United States because they pose a threat to what? Air traffic, as if these balloons haven't been existing there forever. When was the last time an airplane went down after colliding with a balloon at 30,000 feet? Never, never. So don't tell me suddenly this is a national security threat that requires the tweaking of NORAD's radars so that we can send F-22 aircraft or F-16 aircraft up to fire 400,000 missiles to take down a balloon that we don't even know what it is. We can't even recover the data because we blew it up. It's gone. This is stupidity in the extreme. Stupidity in the extreme. And what are we doing? We're doing two things. We are distracting ourselves from what's happening in Europe right now by attempting to shift focus to China. And we're hyping up the Sinophobia in America. We're trying to make Americans fear everything China, while distracting from our failures in Europe and the last time we embraced a phobia, Russophobia. That's all this is. This is one giant distraction by the Biden administration that's running scared. They have lost control of the world. They're not in control of anything. They don't control any narrative, so they're creating their own narrative. The Chinese balloon threat, and now we're finding out it's a Chinese-Russian balloon threat. This is stupidity of the highest order, and I would hope that people who call themselves journalists would just start asking basic, fundamental questions along the line of which I raised with you. What is the experiment? Why was it a threat? Why couldn't you identify the experiment? I mean, I don't want to get into too much classified information here, but we have airplanes that are actually specialized in flying and taking high resolution photographs of objects in the air. And I could have imagined that we could have taken one of these aircraft. They're normally based in Alaska because they fly and take photographs of Soviet or Russian reentry vehicles high in the air. Why couldn't they fly underneath this balloon and take a nice picture of it? Why couldn't we have taken an RC-135 electronic warfare or electronic intelligence airplane and fly it nearby to capture the signals coming from this thing, to gather a fuller intelligence picture before we shoot it down? I mean, again, we knew exactly what this balloon was. I'm telling you right now, there's a classified CIA briefing that was sent to the President of the United States that said this is a weather information collection balloon. The experiment is known to us. It's actually a joint experiment derived from work that we have been doing with the Chinese to collect information about global warming. And we shot the balloon down. And now we're shooting down all the other balloons that NORAD now is magically finding by tweaking their system. Stupidity of the highest order.
Let me ask you a follow-up question. Is this like a campaign, like, the run up to the Iraq war or whatever war, where you have to convince the population that there's this threat? And people seem to really be interested in this, Scott. They're like, wow, I mean, and the UFO angle on top of it, where again, the conspiracy theorists, they say, okay, well, I'm a conspiracy theorist because I have questions about, the origins of a certain floating particle that may have come here from China, right? I'm the problem for asking the questions. And then, because I'm asking the questions, I'm automatically deemed a conspiracy theorist. But now it seems though the media has embraced the conspiracy theorist angle on this, and they're saying, hey, we don't know. I mean, you've got generals, you've got people going on TV saying, you know what, I can't rule out the fact that this might be a UFO. I mean, what are they doing, Scott? Are they just trying to terrorize the entire population at this point?
Yeah, that's what governments do when they get panicked. And the Biden administration is panicked. This is panic. This isn't a campaign. This isn't sober individuals sitting down and saying things. Seymour Hersh just published a bombshell report about America declaring war against Germany, because that's what we did. This is a constitutional crisis for the president if people would just start asking the right questions. More and more, we're being confronted with our impotence against China. We have our military admitting that we can't fight a war in Europe anymore. All that chest thumping about 100,000 troops, they're now saying we don't have any ammunition. We don't have anything. We can't do anything. Sort of what I've been saying all along, paper tiger. And now they're coming up to the realization that China is also in a position to kick our butts. And the American people, you can't be honest with the American people. The government is never honest with you. This was the harsh lesson that I learned after the Colin Powell presentation to the Security Council on February 5th, 2003. I believed in Colin Powell. I believed in integrity. I believed that there were men and women capable of standing up and doing the right thing in government. I understand that government is fundamentally flawed because it's about power and money and corruption, but I believe that there were people that could navigate the system, get in position, and do the right thing. And after Colin Powell did what he did, I no longer believe that, and the facts have borne out the truth. Everybody in government lies about everything. Everybody in government lies about everything. Everybody in government lies about everything. When their lips move, they lie. They can't be honest with the American people about anything. Everything must be spun. Everything must be managed. Perception must be shaped. You can't trust the American people with the facts. And this is the God's honest truth. And I challenge anybody to prove me wrong, whether it's COVID or whether it's Iraq or Afghanistan. The government has never told the truth, not because they're deliberately trying to hide something, because they can't tell the truth. They can't be honest. They can't say, we don't know. Mm-hmm. Because we don't know becomes a political impairment. What do you mean you don't know? Are you weak? Are you stupid? No, it's just a complicated problem. We're trying to figure it out. You can't say we don't know. You can't be honest. So you have to stand up there and exude confidence. And you send forward the man with the fake smile, and he sits there and he tells you this, that, and he swears, I'm not lying to you. I would never lie to you. I am, of course, the epitome of integrity, and I would never mislead the American. He's misleading you every time he opens his mouth. He is a liar. And he sits there and plots the lie with the policymakers who are panicked about the fact that the world is spinning out of their control. The day where the American hegemon controlled everything like Pinocchio's little puppet master are done. The strings are being cut. Pinocchio's walking away, and we don't know what to do about it. So we lie. We lie, we lie, we lie. And that's where we're at right now. I mean, it's tragic because there are questions that should be answered. Scott Ritter's assessment of that balloon seems to be good. I did the research. I think I'm right, but I could be wrong. It could be a spy balloon. Mm-hmm. And we should know what that balloon is. I'd have preferred we didn't shoot it down because that's sort of like an act of aggression. But on the other hand, China doesn't have a right to float a balloon over the United States without our permission. Did China ask for permission? Were these experiments known to the United States? Are they part of a global joint experiment on climate change that the United States was briefed on, but has opted not to tell the American people because they lie? Who knows? There's a lot of questions out there, and you're not going to get the answers from the government because the government only knows how to lie. And I know I'm coming off as some crazy conspiracy theorist, but I'm not. I'm somebody who unfortunately has learned through the school of hard knocks that there are no people of integrity in government anymore. You can't be in government if you have integrity, because along the way, you will be asked to make compromises. And those compromises will ruin you. You have to make decisions as you go up the chain, as you get promoted. You have to make decisions about compromises, about what you're willing to accept and what you're willing to turn a blind eye to. And if you don't turn a blind eye or accept the lies, you're not trusted, so you won't be given the invitation into the next level. You have to continually compromise your integrity, your soul, your spirit, your humanity in order to get to the top tier. The top tier is composed of nothing but narcissists who lie to maintain their presence on the top tier. Prove me wrong.
Yeah. Wow. And you mentioned the article by Cy Hirsch, which just an incredible work. I mean, he's 85 years old now. He's had an amazing career. And it's funny, though, Scott, that all of the respect that he did get throughout his career, all of a sudden kind of dried up a little bit. I mean, Cy's getting kind of old. I don't know if he's got his facts straight, but Russia says that there should be an emergency summit over the Nord Stream, and they're calling it sabotage, which I think this is an act of aggression. It's an act of terrorism. It's economic terrorism. Everything is just kind of rolled into one, just, I can't believe my country where I live is doing this stuff. And who's it against? It's against Germany. It's against Europe. It's all of this, so that that flow of gas, natural gas, can't get to where it was supposed to go to. And we had Biden actually say at one point, and the media has completely ignored his quote. It's kind of like what he said about Ukraine years ago, and we'll just take this guy out, or and wherever. I mean, I know you probably know all of the details here, but Biden said it. Yeah, if that pipeline won't be there anymore, it'll. And the reporter's like, well, why won't it be there? He's like, it's gonna not be there.
No, it's a confession before the fact. It's
right.
like a guy coming up saying, I'm gonna go murder Scott Ritter.
Yeah.
Why would you do that? I'm gonna do it. Scott Ritter gets murdered. I didn't do it. They did it. You know, what? No, look, Cy Hirsch is. Cy's a good friend of mine. I just have to be honest. We've been friends for 25 years, and Cy's 85. He's an adult. He speaks for himself. He doesn't need Scott Ritter or anybody else running interference for him. Um, but let's just deal with the facts. The fact is, this was a man who won the Pulitzer Prize. He's won a number of Polk Awards, which are also prestigious journalism awards. Um, his resume just reads like the legend of journalism that he is.
Mm-hmm.
There was a time when the New York Times, he was their premier investigative journalist on national security affairs. He wrote for the New Yorker, which at the time had a reputation of being the most stringently fact-checked journalistic outlet ever. I mean, legendary. The New York fact-checking process was just considered to be legendary. And he wrote for them. So again, here's a guy who wrote for the New York Times back when it meant something.
Yeah.
Wrote for the New Yorker when it had a reputation for fact-checking, which means that his DNA is about integrity, that he doesn't make stuff up. Do journalists make mistakes? Yes. Do journalists ever get a bad source? They buy a source, they vet the source, and they say, I'm going to run with the source, only to find out, oh my God, the guy played me all along. Mm-hmm. Yes. Has Cy Hirsch ever been played? Yes. He will admit it. So, to sit here and say, I can guarantee with 100% accuracy that Cy's source is good, can't do that. Can't do that. But you have to look at the track record of the man, the way he was trained, the way he has always operated, to understand that he approaches a story with the utmost integrity and with the most stringent journalistic standards, more stringent than anything that exists today in American journalism. There are no standards in American journalism today. So I find it the height of hypocrisy for American journalists to somehow come out and question Cy. Why? Because he dared write what you would. He dared put the words what you wouldn't put the words. And to be honest, you didn't need Cy's source to tell this story. I've told the same story with less details, just by going with open source. What Cy has done, though, and here's the critical thing, this is the most important thing. There are three aspects of his story that come out, that emerge. One, we've had this conversation before. What defines America? The Constitution. That's it, baby. That's it. There's nothing else that defines us. We each have our own personal belief systems that are derived from different sources, but what unites us as a collective is the Constitution, and only the Constitution. Legally, morally, ethically, principally, whatever. Read Cy's piece and understand that you have the President of the United States and his closest national security advisors conspiring to violate the Constitution, conspiring to violate constitutional requirements of reporting to Congress, the people's representatives. The checks and balances that are supposed to be contained in the American system of government were sidestepped willingly, with intent, by the Biden administration, by the president and this coterie of covert advisors to engage in an act of war. This is the most impeachable thing I can imagine. And why Congress remains silent is stunning. They should be demanding full investigations, and Cy Hirsch's reporting gives us dates, basically times, the people involved. This is what you subpoena for. This is what you look for. I could write up a list of subpoenas that for documentation that would make the White House panic. They'd be shredding it. Then we got them again. Obstruction, all the things. The Biden administration is the most corrupt presidential administration in modern times. And the proof is the conspiracy they launched to bypass constitutionally mandated congressional reporting requirements regarding war. And now we come to part two, because what occurred in September against the Nord Stream pipeline was an act of war. The Biden administration acknowledges it, which is why they were bypassing. They carried out an act of war against an American ally, which again, Congress should be saying, wait a minute, why? Why are you attacking an ally? Now, I know people like Ted Cruz who claim to be constitutionalists, but aren't. Because if Ted Cruz supports this, then he too should be impeached for being somebody who has violated the Constitution of the United States, knowingly and wittingly allowed the Constitution to be violated on one of the most important issues that confront American leaders, whether or not to go to war. And we went to war against Germany in September when we carried out the economic equivalent of Pearl Harbor against them. So this is an act of war. And then the other thing that comes out of this, and I don't like using this word, but it's true. The German nation being transformed into a cuckold state.
Yeah,
literally.
it is.
They have watched the United States come in and violate them and leave, and they are silent. Silent. They refuse to go down this path, because to confront this path would confront them with the reality that America isn't your friend, that NATO isn't a defensive alliance. NATO is actually an alliance operating against you, against Germany. NATO attacked you. It wasn't just the United States, it was Norway. And if you think it was just the United States and Norway, you're wrong. Great Britain was complicit. Poland was complicit. This was a conspiracy of allies to attack Germany.
Yeah.
That's it. But then the third thing, and this is the one that should blow everybody's mind. The date of the attack was in September. When did Joe Biden say he was going to blow up Nord Stream? Guaranteed. He said February 7th.
Yeah.
What happened on April 1st? April 1st, Russia was convening a peace negotiation with Ukraine in Istanbul, one that had a very, very good chance of bringing this conflict to an end. This was sabotaged by the West. And you have to ask yourself why. Now, the popular belief, and I believed this until I read Cesar. The popular belief is that Boris Johnson came in because we had made a decision to exploit Russian weakness by providing billions of dollars worth of goods to Ukraine. But that debate didn't occur until late April, May. They're sabotaging this in late March, April 1st. Why? Why? It made no sense to have Boris Johnson come in a panic. And there's the important word, a panic to stop this. Why? Because Nord Stream 1 was still functioning. Nord Stream 2 was operational if they just turned on the switch. Russia had invaded Ukraine. Biden promised to destroy this pipeline, but it hadn't been destroyed by April 1st. And had there been a peace agreement, then you couldn't attack the pipeline, because there's no way you could create a viable story that Russia did it. So they needed the war to go on. And here's the biggest sin of all. There could have been peace. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm here to tell you right now, the war could have ended on April 1st. Russia wanted the war to end on April 1st. Russia was working with Ukraine to end the war on April 1st. This war would be over. Hundreds of thousands of people would be alive. Ukraine would be sustained as a modern nation state. Peace would be breaking out in Europe, all over the place. It didn't happen. Why? Because Joe Biden wanted to destroy the Nord Stream pipelines, and he didn't have the mechanism in place yet. Read the timeline put out by Cy Hirsch, how they panic, come together, begin the preparations, etc. This was an act of war, not just against Germany, but against the world. This is the proof positive that anytime somebody tells you that the war in Ukraine is a byproduct of unprovoked Russian aggression, that is a lie. The war in Ukraine is a byproduct of a strategic American master plan that called for to provoke Russia to invade so that we could disrupt not just Russia, and here's the important part, but Europe. This is an American war against Russia and Europe. This is about promoting American hegemony, about bringing down Russia and bringing down Europe so that we can impose our will on Europe. We replace cheap Russian gas with expensive American liquid natural gas. We are destroying the European economy, eliminating them as a viable threat to the United States of America. And I called this a conspiracy theory until Cy Hirsch wrote his piece. And when he wrote his piece, it was just like, boom. It's so obvious right now.
Yeah.
Joe Biden is Voldemort. He is the most evil man on the planet. And even if he is mentally incapable of acknowledging this, the people underneath him are facilitators of Voldemort. We are looking at an evil regime, and it's not Vladimir Putin's Russia. The evil resides in our capital, in the people's house, and it's named Joe Biden. This is one of the greatest threats, not only to the United States of America, but the world. This is a man who has demonstrated he's willing to do anything, including carrying out an economic Pearl Harbor against an ostensible ally named Germany. Anything to promote American power. And if that's the price the world has to pay to keep America on top, maybe the world needs to wake up and understand that America's time in the batter's box is over. 1, 2, 3 strikes, you're out, get out. Somebody else gets to step up to the plate. But it's not going to be the United States. It shouldn't be the United States, because we have proven ourselves to be as corrupt and evil as all of the anti-American propagandists have said. You can't dismiss this, America. You cannot dismiss this. You cannot sit here and say this is Russian propaganda. It's not Russian propaganda. Look at the damn facts. But they're not. The American sheep are just going to continue to allow themselves to be herded to slaughter by shepherds they think are protecting them, but aren't. And those shepherds all work for the government, and the government is literally a bodyguard of lies.
Wow. Yeah. Super well said, Scott. Do you know of any American politicians on any side, left, right, wherever, that are upset the way you are? Has anybody come out and said, hey, this is, I hear a lot about the border situation. You know, the right wingers are more inclined to talk about the open border and Biden not doing his job, and that might be an impeachable offense, and it could be. It could be. I mean, but I'm looking at this the way you just articulated it, in a way that was passionate, and that is really very hard to refute what you're saying. If we're involved in, I think this is a crime. It must also violate international law. I'm not an expert on that, but have you heard from anyone in DC that is upset about this? Or is this just like the uniparty sticks together? You know, we all don't like Russia, or enough people. You hear a couple of dissident voices regarding 1 or 2 issues, like we shouldn't send money to Ukraine, which is a start, but we're beyond that now. We're way beyond that. We're at a point now where we're trying, as you said there, to essentially just control the world in a way which is evil and goes beyond just typical geopolitics. I'm just curious if you know of anybody who said anything.
No, nobody's stepped up to the plate. They can't. Again, we go back. Let's use the Iraq analogy. When the Iraq War first happened, people said, "When will this war end?" And I said, "Well, the war will end when America leaves." And America, we can talk. I said America won't be able to militarily prevail for any number of reasons, but in the end, the reason to get out will be political, and that can't happen. I said it will take several election cycles for this to happen, because you have to remove those people who voted for the war, because they don't have the courage to say, "I made a mistake," because in American politics, once you make a mistake, you're politically dead. You have to lie, get back to it, lie, lie, lie. Congress, with very few exceptions, has bought into the Russophobic pictures that have been painted about the evil of Vladimir Putin. There's not a single member of Congress that will sit there and say, "I think Vladimir Putin's a good guy. I think Vladimir Putin's actually a good president. He's done great things for Russia." And you can't survive in this environment saying that. So you have to buy into the lies about Russia, and which means you had to buy into the lie about Russian gas. Mm-hmm. How many people actually opposed our opposition? I'm not talking about the act of war. But there were a lot of people that said, I think it's a good idea if we got Germany to shut down the Nord Stream. We don't like Nord Stream because of Russophobia, Russian gas, control of Europe, all the lies. Literally everything they say is lie. Russia was not seeking to dominate Europe through the weaponization of gas. Russia is a energy provider, and they have contractual relationships with clients that need to be sustained over time. And those contracts won't be sustained if any of the clients feel that Russia's using the gas as a weapon. It just doesn't work that way, people. It's business 101. We claim to be a capitalistic society, and we claim to understand business acumen, and yet we throw it all out the window to tell lies about Russia. And every politician has bought into that lie. So now what we're asking a politician to do is step up and say, I am an idiot. I am the dumbest person on the face of the earth because I bought into all the lies. And now I'm telling you to believe me on this thing. There's not a politician that has the courage to do that. I've said it before and I'll say it again. When you're explaining, you're losing. And so now to come up and talk about this, they have to explain away what they were. And once you do that, you open yourself up to attack by your political opponents, and they're all out there. There's a whole herd or pack of political wolves waiting for the alpha dog to stumble, jump in, eat the alpha dog, and take over. These are all similarly corrupt individuals. As you go up that pyramid I talked about, there are people below you, and they're corrupt wolves just like you, waiting for the opportunity to jump up and get to the top. So if you're a politician that's made it to the apex of your political career, you are not going to throw it away by suddenly being overwhelmed with the need to tell the truth. There are no truth tellers in Congress. Not one, because to tell the truth, you have to have integrity. And if you had integrity, you wouldn't be in Congress today. That's just a simple statement of fact. So stop hoping for a miracle, because it ain't going to happen. The only way to make it happen is to elect the right people to Congress. And right now, the system won't allow that to happen, because the system, we criticize the Iranians. They're a theocracy. They put out a religious litmus test that you have to pass to get in there. Okay, I get it, guys. Do we not have a financial litmus test? When was the last time a poor person got elected to Congress? Or in order to get elected, do you have to sell your soul to donors who provide the money, the monetary litmus test, for you to be invited up through the clouds into the inner room? And that's what happens. Now you're in the inner room and you want to keep climbing because it's beautiful. I have power. I have prestige. I have money. This is everything I always wanted. No, you forgot. What you wanted was to be a truth teller. You wanted to support the people, but now you're up there in the upper chamber and you forget about the people, and you keep climbing higher. And the more you climb, the less you remember the people. There's nobody at the top right now who believes in the people, who supports the people. They claim to, their lips move, they lie, but they don't. This is clearly the most, this is a Mr. Smith goes to Washington type moment. We need, remember that the Jimmy Stewart movie?
Yep.
We need Mr. Smith now. We need a guy to get on the congressional floor and hold a filibuster and almost kill himself trying to tell the truth, fighting against, where is Mr. Smith? Where is Mr. Smith? He doesn't exist. He only exists in Hollywood.
Yeah.
He only exists in Hollywood. There are no Mr. Smiths. There are no Mrs. Smiths. They are all corrupt, and I will tell that to their face. AOC, you're corrupt. Bernie, you're corrupt. All these, people that everybody says are so wonderful, they're all corrupt. They've been corrupted by power. They've been corrupted by money. You can't get elected without money, and unless you're Donald Trump, able to write your own checks, and even he didn't do that, you can't get elected. So let's stop pretending there's somebody in Congress that's going to do the right thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, I knew it was bad news, but I guess I wanted to hear it from you. Maybe there was somebody that you had seen or heard make a statement, because again, it's a uniparty. I'm not a member of either one of those parties. I have been, but I don't see any use in it. It's a big club, as George Carlin likes to say, or used to say, and we're not in it. So we're not in it. At some point, I think we all have to kind of organize and do individual things. I know you've been doing some public speaking, and I know you're back on Twitter, battling it out with some folks who look at you, and I've seen some exchanges between you and some people that I admire, And those people are nitpicking at you because they think you're just this Russian warmonger type guy that is rooting on Russia, which means that your view, that like you would support Russia winning this conflict. I think your view is the conflict started. Russia has a right to defend themselves based on what NATO was up to. And there are a lot of real, aloof libertarian type people that are like, oh, but any conflict is bad. Well, but they're not that concerned about, say, the US, what they're doing in Somalia, which again, I think yesterday or sometime during the last couple of days, we just went through there again, and the media doesn't report any of it. You have to go digging for this stuff. But you're not, Scott Ritter, you're not like pro-war for the sake of being like this warmonger. You're looking at the whole world and saying someone needs to break up this monopoly that the United States is trying to have, and it's either Russia or China or Brazil or India or somebody who puts this thing where the United States is no longer trying to be this global hegemon. And it's flabbergasting to see, these people coming after you for just expressing your views and being passionate about. I think on the show one time you said, I'm for the war party instead of the peace party because the peace party is completely ineffective. Maybe elaborate on both of those things.
Look, if the Libertarian Party is the party of peace, then they are failing.
Yeah, I know.
So get the hell out of my face. Okay? I don't deal with losers, not in an issue like this. I said I'm the war party because that means I understand war. I understand the tragic necessity of war, but I also understand that war should be the last option and that we should exhaust all efforts prior to war to prevent war. I'm in the war prevention business. Now, if you want to fight war, I'll kill you. Okay, because I'm not a pacifist. Right. And I made that clear in my tweet to them. They were like, Scott Ritter's not I said, I'm not a pacifist. Scott Ritter's not anti-war. I'm not anti-war. I said, war, and I used the one that got me in trouble, the one they've all hyped up on, is I said, I love dogs. Hell, I got 3 of them right here. Fortunately, they're not barking yet, but they will. Love them. I love all dogs. I think dogs are wonderful creatures. But there are rabid dogs out there that threaten us. If the rabid dog is in the street, it needs to be taken down. And we need Atticus Finch to come out and shoot it. To Kill a Mockingbird. Great movie, great book, great movie. Gregory Peck comes out, the lawyer with the glasses and the tie, but he takes the rifle because during the First World War, he was a warrior and he knew how to shoot. The best marksman in the unit. Bam! Takes out the dog. Boom. And I said, we need Atticus Finch because there are rabid dogs. And I said, Ukraine is a rabid dog and Russia is Atticus Finch. And I firmly believe this. Yeah. But that is the one they all went, oh, we can't have anything to do with him. He's pro-war. Pro-war? I'll tell you what. You fight a war and you tell me you're pro-war, you son of a bitches. All right? Pro-war, the fact that I've been to war means I'm anti-war. And I'll put my anti-war street cred on the table with anybody. Scott Horton, let's bring it on, bad boy. You think you got anti-war cred? You ain't got shit. None of you libertarians have shit because you haven't done anything in your lives. Where were you trying to stop Iraq? You weren't with me. You were doing your little libertarian shit, which doesn't work. We're anti-war. We're anti-war. We're anti-war. Wham, we're at war. You didn't try. You didn't put it all on the line. You didn't sacrifice everything. You're not anti-war unless you put it all on the line. You know who puts it all on the line? Warriors. Yeah. Warriors who know what it means to take an oath to uphold and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic, who have put it all on the line, willing to lose their life to defend that Constitution. And now in seeking to pursue an anti-war posture, I want to do it constitutionally. I want to do it the right way. I want it to succeed. I believe in victory. You know who else believes in victory? Warriors. Why? Because if you lose in war, you're dead. You're dead. This isn't a game, Horton. This isn't a game, Libertarian Party. This isn't about promoting your little, I know you got a shirt that's libertarian. I'm not picking on you, but I'm just saying these people tried to hijack something that promote their political views instead of seeking actual peace. And fuck them. Okay. And I apologize for that word, but that's where we're at right now. Fuck them and the horse they rode in on. And again, I'm not a pacifist, Horton. You want to debate me? Let's debate. You want to fight me? I'll fucking take you down anytime you want, you piece of shit. You are sitting there destroying something that could have worked. I don't believe in peace movements, but February 19th could have worked if they had just given it a chance. But bastards like Scott Horton and people in the extreme Mrs. branch of the Libertarian Party have brought it down because of a litmus test of purity they cannot meet. We're anti-war. You ain't anti-anything. You're just pro-extreme Libertarian Party politics where you're willing to sacrifice everything to achieve your own little political game that's being played. No, this is serious business. People are dying.
Yeah.
And in war, there is a right side and a wrong side sometimes. Sometimes there isn't. Sometimes war is just about people killing people. But right now, in a conflict in Ukraine where the United States has done everything possible to make this war occur, up to and including blocking negotiation. The Libertarian, we're all for negotiations. Where were you on April 1st? Where were you on April 1st? Were you for negotiations then, you little pieces of shit? No, you weren't. You were silent. Don't be silent now. Understand who is the one responsible for this war. And it's not Russia. It's not Vladimir Putin. And when you denigrate people who dare tell the truth and call them pro-Russian Putin apologists, fuck off. Fuck off. Because people are dying. I apologize for my language, but people are dying. People that they claim to care about. The Libertarian Party, not you, them, do not care about the Ukrainian people. You can't claim to care about the Ukrainian people when hundreds of thousands of them are dying in a war that you blame on Russia. Russia did not start this war. Russia invaded. Hey, fuck off. Do you know what the Minsk agreement is? Do you know how Russia bent over backwards to try and get a negotiated settlement to prevent this conflict? And do you know the role played by the United States, France, and Germany in undermining that at every step of the way? You don't know that then if you're in the Libertarian Party because you hate Vladimir Putin. You hate Russia. You hate everything that's against whatever you think you stand for, but you stand for nothing. You don't stand for peace. Because if you stood for peace, then you'd have stood for the negotiated settlement to this conflict on April 1st of last year. The one that Russia was trying to sign with Ukraine, that was sabotaged by the United States and Great Britain. No. Libertarian Party, as it's currently manifested, can just kiss my ass. And again, I know this is going to come back and bite me. People will say he lost his temper, he's screwed. I'm a fucking Marine. Okay, I am not running for office. I am not trying to win hearts and minds. I don't give a flying shit about you guys out there. I mean, if you want to be my friends, you can be my friends. But if you're against me, get the fuck out of the way, or I'll just steamroll over you. I'll have a debate anytime you want. I'll have a discussion. I'll have a dialogue. But if you're going to sit there and promote stupidity that's causing people to die, then you're the fucking enemy. And I'm not a pacifist. So let's go to war if you want to. I don't care. I'm at that point. I've been called a twice convicted pedophile one too many fucking times. One too many fucking times. I was never convicted twice. I was convicted once, and it wasn't a pedophilia. So if you're going to insult me, get it fucking right. All right? And then we can have a discussion about the stupidity of your argument, because I can ask 5 questions of anybody who says, well, he was convicted. I'll ask 5 questions. They can't answer. And I say, get the fuck out of here. Then don't talk to me about something you don't know. If the only thing you have is what you get from Google or Wikipedia, fuck off. Fuck off, because it ain't the truth. Is it my job to tell you the truth? No, it's not. No, it's not. You want to have that discussion with me? Earn it. Do your research. Earn it. Show me that you care. And if you do your research, you won't want to have that discussion with me, because you'll say, holy shit, he was railroaded. Yeah, no shit, Sherlock. He was railroaded to do what? Silence him. You can't silence me. You can't silence me. You can try, but it ain't going to work. You can't silence me. So the game's over. Twice convicted pedophile, say it to my fucking face if you have courage. Don't type it an anonymous NAFO account with a little Shiba Inu. You know, oh, twice convicted pedophile. Fuck off. Name yourself, appear yourself, say it to my face, and pay the consequences of it, because I'm done. And I'll just throw a little newsflash out there for the Libertarian Party. I owned your ass. You guys may not know it, but you're really the dumbest motherfuckers that ever walked the face of the earth. Check up New York State defamation law. Check out the 5 things that have to be proven, and understand that what you did met all 5 categories. That I owned you. Had I pursued a lawsuit against you, I would have destroyed you financially, destroyed your party financially. That's how fucking stupid you are. The 5th and final category required me to simply say, kick me off the stage. Do it. After inviting me twice, kick me off the stage after calling me a twice convicted pedophile, easily, demonstrably proven false. That's the key aspect of libel. Proven false. They disseminate it all over the internet. Now the harm kicked me off the platform. And I could have played that game, but I was asked not to by people who cared about February 19th. People who said, give us a chance, Scott. Don't make this about you. Well, first of all, I didn't make it about me. They made it about me.
Mm-hmm.
They made it about me. So let's have that fight. But I'm not saying that I'm the most honorable man in the world, but I stepped down. I stepped away from that.
Mm-hmm.
I said, okay, I'll back off. You have your rally. But I'm never going to stop saying, fuck you, Libertarian Party. I owned you. I had you right here. I could have crushed you, and I didn't. Not because I care about you. I don't. I care about the rally that was supposed to happen with your participation. I'd like that rally to succeed because I do believe in peace. I am anti-war. I do want the United States to be able to come together with a politically viable coalition that unites people from all different spectrums of ideology on the united cause of bringing down the military-industrial complex. That's what I believe in. What do you believe in? Apparently nothing.
Yeah. Wow. All right. I didn't know that I was going to open up that kind of can of worms. I had no idea. And for the record, Scott, I've been in and out of the party, so to speak, and I usually have difficulties with people that have these litmus tests. And this is how I'm here. I am trying to explain myself now.
No need to. I wasn't attacking you.
No, I know. But I want the audience to know that, I look at the Republican Party as lost. I look at the Democrat Party as even more lost, if that's possible. I look at a lot of the libertarian ideas as good ideas. All right. I don't consider myself a pacifist, and I don't think the founding fathers were either. I think they said don't go running around chasing monsters, and that's what we're doing now. I would like to get to that point, Scott. If you take an oath to the Constitution, you're obviously supposed to defend against enemies both foreign and domestic.
Yeah.
Is pretty straightforward. So if you're a libertarian type and you're saying, no, we should just kind of turn the cheek every time, no matter what happens to us. Yeah, Jesus did that, right? And they crucified Jesus. So I think the bottom line.
But he turned into Christ.
Yeah. But he had a mission. He knew this was his mission. So what I'm looking at with Russia and Ukraine, I'm thinking, man, I hope Russia wins. And here's why I hope Russia wins, because it breaks up this new world order that everybody's been talking about since George H.W. Bush, because Russia can be its own country, trade with who they want to, not be interfered with, whether, it's just, you've got the West, which seems to be clutching and holding on to this old way of thinking. And now you've got these emerging countries that are basically saying, we don't need these people. We can succeed. They're going to sanction Russia some more, Scott. That didn't do any good.
That's worked.
Yeah.
Good plan.
That is going to work this time. As far as the libertarian types, yeah, they're hard to get along with. They're really hard to get along with, because again, you have this purity test, and they'll go around and say, oh, you're only like 60% on board or 70. I'm like 0% on board with the other two parties, right? Or 5%, 10% with Republicans, and zero negative numbers for Democrats. I'm negative 50. And with libertarians, I'm like a plus 60 or plus 70, so I look at it that way. I just wanted to explain to folks, and I can have a conversation with Scott Ritter and not freak out that Scott is passionate about one side. And this is what people should recognize. One side has a Nazi coalition, and the other side fought Nazis in World War II. So it's like, okay, think this through. Think this through. I would think you would want the side with the Nazis to lose, right? Just take all of the other things off the table. So anyway, again, Scott, I appreciate you being here, and I had no idea that. I saw a couple of tweets and I was like, who's going after him? And then I'm like, oh, those guys, huh? And I don't spend a lot of time on Twitter because I might say something and
you're healthier for it. You won't lose your temper like I do.
Yeah.
because I mean, look, again, first of all, I want to apologize to your listeners. I mean, I apologize for that. I should be better than that. But put yourself in my shoes for a minute, and understand that this is 24/7, 7 days a week, never ending.
Yeah.
It's a permanent cancel culture.
Yeah.
They're trying, and again, if it's just me, maybe I wouldn't respond. It's my family. It's my friends. It's everything I stand for. It's my life.
Yeah.
They're literally trying to erase my life on a bodyguard of lies. And again, if you've got, I'll just say it right up. If you guys got a problem with the conviction and you don't want to believe me, that's your right responsibility. I will not ever blame you for that. But at least call me what you think I am based upon the facts. But there's a word out there that's the worst word you could apply to anybody, and that's pedophile.
Yeah.
That is a horrific word. And, you know, the irony is I could have murdered somebody and I would be accepted on the libertarian platform. I have never harmed an American in my life. I've never tried to harm, let alone a child. And I could have murdered somebody and I would have passed the Libertarian Party's litmus test of purity. But this is a lie, a flat out lie, demonstrable lie, designed to destroy me. You can lie about me all you want. I don't care. But if your intent is to destroy me and in the process destroy my family, understand this. I will kill you before you hurt my wife and my children. I will kill you. And no, maybe in New York they'd convict me, but I don't imagine there's too many juries out there that convict a loving husband and father for protecting his family from attempts to destroy them. And that's what's happening here. And it happens every single day of my life, every hour, every minute, every second. And every once in a while, because I am a human, I lose my temper. And I lost my temper today. So I apologize for that.
Yeah, no apologies. You don't have to apologize, Scott. I appreciate having you on and you agreeing to be on. So we'll wrap up. you probably need to take a little break, and
I got to check my blood pressure.
Yeah, I'm sure this video might go kind of viral, which might be good for me. Let me just put it out there, folks. For entertainment value, this was way off the charts here. But for you libertarians out there, the litmus test stuff makes me want to take the shirt off and grab, Constitution Party shirt, which it doesn't matter. I'm just gonna, the channel is called The Radical Independent, and that's the way it started, and it's not the Radical Libertarian. But Scott Ritter, anything going on with you? I know so the public speaking engagement is off, I take it, right? Or what's going on?
No, that's off. Look, I made, again, this is just how stupid they are. I made plans to go to Washington, D.C.
Yeah.
So I actually bought tickets, made hotel reservations, and I'm going to go down there. My daughter's down there. I'm going to visit with my daughter. I'm going to visit with friends. I'm going to, get some work done down there. But no, I won't be part of the February 19th rally. They don't want me. Therefore, what's that old saying? Why join a club that doesn't want you to be a member?
Yeah.
So,
George Carlin, even more right here. Okay. All right. Well, thanks again, Scott. Again, for everybody out there, check out Scott's book. This is kind of a blueprint, to move forward and to actually get to a legitimate peace.
That book was actually the foundation of the speech I was planning on giving at the rally. So
maybe Scott, you should give it somewhere else. I mean, you've been on YouTube, you've been on a lot of different channels. Maybe.
Well, I'm coming up with something. I don't want to. It's got to be honest and it's got to be real, and I got to feel it. I'm not going to do something just superficially. But I'm sure between now and Friday, especially after this, you got me pumped up. So maybe now I'm ready to go to war even more. So
it's my fault.
We'll see.
Great. It's going to be my fault. All right. So everybody can thank me for this. All right, Scott Ritter, thank you so much. And try to enjoy the rest of your day, sir.
All right. You too. Thanks a lot.